Welcome to the Wealthy's Circle podcast, where we take a deeper dive into this year's finalists and winners from our wealthmanagement.com 2020 Industry Awards. These interviews cover the challenges, innovations, and trends in the wealth management industry and the individuals working to help advisors better help their clients.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Wealthy's podcast. I'm David Armstrong, Executive Director of wealthmanagement.com, and this is the podcast where we speak to finalists of our wealthmanagement.com Industry Awards. And these awards, as I think everybody knows, are in their 7th year, gets bigger every year. And what we try to do here is recognize the firms and the individuals whose initiatives are helping financial advisors build better businesses and create better outcomes for their clients. A perennial presence here on the leaderboard for these awards, finalists every year, it seems, is SS&C Advent. And today, joining us is Steve Leivent, SVP and Co-General Manager of SS&C's Advent Advisory Business. Steve, thanks for being with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, David.
Your firm seems to be a finalist in the technology categories going back to the very beginning, I think, of these awards. And it makes sense because, our judges are not looking to recognize the firms per se, but rather the encourage innovation space by recommending new initiatives that help advisors or enhancements to initiatives, just to try to keep the ball moving forward. And I think SS&C Advent has been pretty consistent in iterating their products and services through the years. I was going back to the Black Diamond days, the Advent days. I think before we jump into what the judges are recognizing you all for this year, maybe you can just take a step back, Stephen, for people who maybe aren't familiar. Tell us a little bit about your role there at SS&C Advent. I think you were, there was some restructuring that went on there about a year ago, maybe a little bit over a year ago. You were given a new title there, and what you do for SS&C Advent and how you see your role and where you guys sit in the ecosystem.
Sure, absolutely. Good memory on some of the role changes, David. The short of it, so my role today is I'm the co-general manager of the Advent business here at SS&C. And that business is, obviously our business around, Advent software, including things like APX and Geneva and Moxie that, many of the industry is very familiar with. It oversees the Black Diamond business as well as Salentica and a couple of other acquisitions we've made over the last few years. So it really is, my particular focus is advisory focused. Really that is holistically the clients that we cover and the market that we cover and across all. I co-lead the organization with Karen Geiger, who's really more focused on the asset management side of our business.
So Steve, this year, I think the judges were recognizing you as finalists in the portal category for technology for the client view application within the Black Diamond Wealth platform. Do you want to a little bit about that? What operations did you make to the Black Diamond Wealth platform with this client view application? What problem are you trying to solve there for financial advisors?
Sure. So yes, that was one of the nominations we got this year. I believe it was in the portal category, and it's a new feature that we rolled out and is available to all of our clients to adopt. It is a capability called Client View. The way to think about it is a single pane of glass advisor dashboard that really provides all of the information that you might need about a client relationship at your fingertips, including things that our system would natively hold and calculate, but also integrations for other third-party technology capabilities, some of them that are SS&C owned and some of them that aren't. And really, the way that I imagine advisors will, most often start their day and most often start, the digging into individual households that they manage and, be able to, support the anything you might need for the client, whether, they're calling and they have questions or you're preparing for a meeting or you are about to deploy some cash and move it into, some of their allocation. And so it's really the starting point, we think, for Advisors Day. And it's a category that we're pretty excited about. The user experience is an area that we've always been really focused on. You started the conversation talking about the fact that SS&C Advent is a perennial, sort of name in the wealthies. And part of that is, I think that's what clients expect these days. Advisors want to hire financial technology partners that not only have capabilities that they can rely on today, but also can iterate on those to deliver new value to the overall solution.
Yeah, when you think about that iterations to the platform, what's guiding you? When you create this one pane of glass, the client view application, where are you deciding to spend your focus?
Yeah, I mean, client feedback is a major portion of it. So, today we service 1,800 clients on the Black Diamond platform. Going to our client base is, the first stop in a lot of our evolution of the capability. I think the other thing that we really do is we take a look at the evolution of the advisory business overall. What we've seen in the last, 10 years, really since Black Diamond has been part of Advent, is that, the advisory business is really changing. 10 years ago, it may have been hard for a retail investor to discern, who was in the business of asset management and who was in the business of advisory. These advisors have really started to become financial life coaches. And what we see, what we see in the market, that transition away from, solely managing money and charging on the, assets under management into a world where not only are they things like planning and helping to support, education savings and retirement savings, but really helping clients navigate all aspects of their financial life. Those are the things we're seeing happen in sort of the ecosystem. And so that's the other major area that we, take our cues from and want to make sure that, our platform is really situated to help that transition of the advisory practice.
Yeah, can you give me an example of that? Because one of the things that I think when I speak to a lot of technology firms, this notion of the advisor, it's no longer a transactional business. It's financial planning, financial life coach. And my question always then is, how do you scale that efficiently, right? It's one thing to be a stockbroker for a client and buy a few mutual funds and, off you go. It's another thing to kind of hold the client's hand throughout all of their life cycle financial events. It's much harder. It takes a lot more time. So as advisors try to, make efficient practices out of this, I think the challenge for technology companies is to help them do that, right? And give me an example of how maybe you're doing that with the client view.
So I'll give you the, really relevant example. Black Diamond has always really been focused on just feedback and what has happened yesterday, right? It's, if you think about, what we were built on, the core of our offering, and obviously what we continue to do today, it was all about performance and allocation and, current holdings and realized gains and losses. And it was a way for an advisor to pull together multiple accounts into a household and show the client what happened yesterday, right? That's what all wealth management, platforms have historically done.
It was a very good performance reporting platform.
Well, that's exactly right? And that was in many ways, the value that an advisor was bringing to the table was to be able to pull all of the accounts together in a household and show how you've done compared to the indices. That was the business 10 years ago. What's happened over the last 10 years is, as it sounds like you've heard a lot from technology vendors and also from the market in general, is that advisors are transforming beyond that, and obviously the first step was things like planning and into this financial life coaching. Well, how we think we can step up to the table and help advisors really scale their practice are things like, how can you start from being a feedback platform and then get into the conversation of planning and deploying assets and the overall decision making about the overall allocation and how that's going to be deployed and the trading strategy around it, and then help the client take action beyond things and of just their portfolio. One of the things that we've implemented is a tool called Timeline, and we may have talked about this one before. I love talking about it, but it's a way that an advisor can more efficiently interact with their clients in a relatively personal way, but to target that communication, to those investors that are going to be most interested in it. So as an example, you're an advisor, obviously taxes are probably now a big portion of what you might talk about. You find a great article about ways to, save on taxes as a New York resident. What you really want to do is, be able to send that information out to your clients, but make sure that you're only sending it out to those firms, or I'm sorry, those end investors that are based in New York. And so what our tool allows you to do is actually go and filter down based on demographic information, grab that article, send it to them in a social media type post directly in the platform. So in a pretty secure way that now they can engage with the content, review it, maybe come back to you with some questions. And all the while you have the ability to know who's actually, opened the content, logged in, looked at it. And if there's any correspondence coming back, you'll obviously be able to see that. So really, that's one of the ways we think about helping advisors is leverage technology to scale some of those personalized communications, beyond just sending out a quarterly commentary as an example.
Yeah, so it becomes more of a bespoke communication to each client depending on their circumstances, and clearly
bespoke communication at scale is the way I love talking about it, which sounds like an oxymoron, but tools like this can help you get there.
Yeah, it's not writing a unique missive to each client, but better targeting relevant information depending on their situation, right? Which I imagine is anywhere from geography, but also perhaps age, perhaps stage of life, where they are in the life cycle of their finances. Any of those kinds of things, which makes a lot of sense. Do you find when you're out talking to advisors and you're putting these tools in front of them that most advisors are prepared to do this kind of thing, or do advisors need to be kind of educated in the benefits of doing this kind of thing? I mean, you say that it's, client feedback is one thing, but it's also industry trends which are pushing in this direction. My sense is that many advisors still don't really understand, maybe I'm wrong about this, but don't understand the full benefit of tailoring these communications to their individual clients. I don't see that many of them doing it. That's just my gut instinct. What do you hear when you're talking to advisors?
Yeah, I would say it's evolving. Even the advisors we serve today, all 1,800 are somewhere on the spectrum of really haven't adopted these kind of capabilities all the way through. This now becomes one of the primary mechanisms of communications with their end clients. I think to your point, our clients, advisors in general, they're also seeing the trends. They're reading all of the industry magazines, like wealthmanagement.com, of course, and they're reading articles about where the industry is going. And I think many of them are looking for capabilities to make sure that they stay competitive, and that's where we step in. And often we'll have a dialogue with a prospective client that really is looking for ways to do things like, deliver more personalized communication, but hasn't, exactly come across a mechanism to do it in a way that's scalable and fits within the workflows that particular practice is set up. And that's where we think we can, help, push some of these firms along in, the overall market trends and where they're going.
Do you do some kind of consulting with the firms that you're selling the software to or licensing the software to kind of move them in this direction? Do you have some?
So I will say, So the way that we support our clients in general, ultimately becomes, effectively consulting engagement. So the way we support our clients, it's a named support model. You have someone that we call client advocate over on our side that becomes really the quarterback of your relationship, and the person that not only is taking reactive support, but they're also the ones that are now getting to know your business, understanding some of the workflows and various roles in your organization. And as new capabilities are developed, they're the ones now recommending you adopt them based on what they know about you. So it's a we aren't running a standalone practice management organization as an example. But what we are doing is listening to our clients on a very personal level and turning that into recommendations about features that they may be beneficial as we release them.
Mm-hmm. So it's only you're doing the same thing with your clients and advisors as you're hoping advisors do with their end clients, right? Which is taking the feedback from the end client and using that to, I guess, create a better service. One of the benefits of the client portal here, that client view, is that advisors can look and see what their clients are doing online, right? They can see where their clients are clicking, where they're not clicking. perhaps what they're looking at, what they're not looking at, and make some decisions based on that. Is that accurate?
That is absolutely the case. And, the interesting part is we can also do the same thing. So, I know when our clients are going into certain aspects of our capabilities, I know how often they're logging in. And so I can, in the same way that our clients can then target, the end investors that are interacting with the data most frequently, I can do the same thing and make recommendations on perhaps, more efficient uses of our capability in the same way that an advisor can do with their end clients as well.
Crystal ball here for a bit. Where is it going? Where is it headed? When you look at your roadmap ahead, where do you see the next iterations coming? 2, 3, maybe even 5, or even if you want 10, 20 years down the line? Where is it going? Where is it more bespoke, more customization? What do you see the next big challenge being, or next iteration of your software helping advisors?
Yeah, I think probably 2 different major categories. The first one is integration with other capabilities is paramount, right? I know everyone talks about integration and that, you connectivity to, CRM applications and, planning and risk analytics. All of those things are, table stakes these days. I think where it's going is seamless integration, but also integration where, the value of the capability that you're connecting with can actually be felt in the other platform. As an example, pulling in a plan and having it sit side by side with the, with performance and allocation, right? That's where it's become meaningful because you're looking at, past, present, and future. That's one area that will continue to evolve. APIs and web services will continue to drive that. And advisors choosing best of breed solutions, it's going to force every provider to step up to the table to make sure that you have, good capability, maybe even a development site and portal, and the ability for other, firms in the ecosystem to consume that data. The other thing, the asset distribution, it continues to be a major trend in our industry. Take a look at other firms that we compete with that now are, have merged with TAMPs. And I think, that will continue. At the end of the day, asset managers, insurance carriers, they are trying to figure out the ways that they can interact with independent advisors. The whole model of distribution for those businesses have changed because of the prevalence of independent advisors and many of those advisors coming out of the legacy wirehouse model. You used to be able to fly into a city as a wholesaler and get in with the 10 biggest advisors in one afternoon. Today, if you did that, you'd have to hit 10 different offices, spread across the city that are 10 different RIAs. And so those firms are trying to figure out distribution, and everyone recognizes the fact that businesses like SS&C Advent and Black Diamond touch a lot of end advisors, and it's a mechanism to be able to distribute your capabilities. One of the things, and actually the other nomination, or one of the other nominations that we're up for this year is an innovation platform. Mm-hmm. Is I believe it is for the Advent Insurance Marketplace, mm-hmm. And it's something that we built with DPL, and it's really a way for advisors who traditionally haven't really touched annuities or insurance products in some time to come back to that asset class, and because there's value in it, in certain scenarios. And so it's a way for us to bring those together, and we think that's an example of asset distribution in the future, and where we think it's going to continue to go.
Sure, and with the annuity thing, what DPL brings to the table is kind of a RIA friendly compensation structure, right? And so when you're talking about independent RIAs, giving them, I think a lot of independent RIAs didn't have the ability to, or it would be hard for them to get annuities for their clients outside of kind of the old traditional based compensation structure. Correct?
So that's right, and I think if you go through what's happened in the independent advisor space, many of them left wirehouses, broker dealers, et cetera, and they shed their licenses as a result. And so, this is a way to help, support your clients when they have an insurance need, allows you to help facilitate and close the loop. But, on a personal aspect, a few years ago, my advisor, went through a plan with me and said, you need more life insurance. And, at that point, he directed me to a third-party broker. I interacted with third-party broker. I bought more life insurance, and he wasn't really in the workflow. And my personal feeling was, as my fiduciary, he recommended I get more life insurance, and he should at minimum want to see me execute on that, right? Sort of close the loop. And so this is a mechanism that we think will help many advisors close that loop on things that they haven't, really touched in maybe forever or maybe many years.
Does it work like an insurance marketplace? I mean, there are providers on the platform, and it's up to the advisor's discretion which ones they use.
So it is, in fact, and really the way it works is it is a marketplace that is embedded within Black Diamond. It is available to every one of our clients that has interest. What you can do in that marketplace is leverage the tools that not only DPL has built, but also some of the insurance carriers have built to go and evaluate various products. And where we've seen lots of success to date, and just one example of where we think it'll add value is you have a new client. That client has an annuity that they brought to the relationship. This is a great opportunity for you to add value. Take a look at that annuity, compare it to other capabilities currently existing in the marketplace. And if you find something that has a better risk reward profile, maybe is less expensive, actually move them into an alternative capability. That is, one of the areas that we see, DPL helping to fill, and something that, without DPL and, obviously an advisor that isn't within a hybrid firm and doesn't affiliate with a broker dealer, there really was no mechanism to do that in the past. Besides, look at the product saying, yeah, I don't like it. You might want to go and speak to, an insurance broker to see if you can get something better.
You talked earlier about the need for APIs, integrations, better ways for different platforms, maybe best in breed platforms and different silos to integrate together. There's also this notion, though, of the fight for the advisor's desktop. And to SS&C Advent, Black Diamond had the primary focus of the advisor moving out and acquiring the ancillary stuff as opposed to sending them out through an API to an integration. What's your view on that? Is there kind of a fight to be the all-in-one platform for an advisor through building capabilities or acquisitions, or is the future one of better APIs and more integrations with independent providers? Does that question?
It's a great question, and it's an interesting one because there's obviously a lot of consolidation in the industry related to capabilities, but at the same time, those capabilities are becoming more and more open because of APIs and web services. And so in some ways, they sort of forces that work against each other, right? It's, you take a look at some of the, obviously SS&C is very acquisitive and many of our competitors have been doing the same thing. I think for us, we want to be able to deliver the best solution. And if we are delivering the best solution, our clients will buy it. But if not, we want to give them choice, right? So I would say the way that we think about the world is, certainly there's value in working with a single provider or fewer providers, and we do that today. So, as an example, we have clients that are leveraging Black Diamond, they're leveraging Sika for their CRM, leveraging RCI for their compliance tool set. And, obviously we love when that happens, right? We love when clients are willing to buy with us, willing to, spend more money with us and step into other capabilities. But at the same time, we recognize that, independent advisors, the way they operate, they like to make decisions. And often, sometimes they want to make best of breed decisions, and we're okay with that. And if they think a different CRM solution would be better, we're happy to integrate with a different CRM solution. And I think what this does is it really forces us and our competitors that are in, kind of multiple swim lanes to get better at integration, to deliver better features, to deliver them to market faster. And it's, a net benefit for the entire advisory community.
Yeah, for sure. Advent Genesis, I think is in the rebalancing category. Can you tell us about that? What problem were you trying to solve there with this? Sounds like sort of it's for, I guess, advisors that are more portfolio managers who still kind of keep their hand in portfolio management.
Yep.
As a more sort of bespoke rebalancer. Am I right about that?
So the short of it is, David, you are correct. It is a balancer for our clients that are, portfolio managers, and many of them are what I would call sort of hybrid wealth and asset managers, right? They develop proprietary strategy, in many cases wrap, the strategy into a mutual fund or an ETF or SMAs, and actually, go to market, and other advisors leverage their product as well. And that's sort of the typical firm that would buy Genesis. And really what it is, it's a way to move, more of the, portfolio modeling and rebalancing activities to the front office, right? These have, the tools, for the asset management space are largely, back office focused tools. And, this is a way for us to, bring some of those capabilities to the front office. I think more importantly, this is the springboard for our overall cloud platform, for the rest of Advent's asset management focused business. So Genesis is a cloud native application. It's multi-tenant, and, it is a tool set that, our clients that are leveraging, APX or Geneva, also leverage side by side. And it is the capability, that we will be leveraging as we build out brand new cloud native capabilities for our clients to consume. Explain
to me a little bit about that. I mean, I think we know what cloud native is, but is that sort of a foundation of a future strategy to everything's up in the cloud, everything is cloud based?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a future strategy to where maybe not everything is in the cloud, because, I think it's going to be a long transition. I mean, there's still thousands of advisors that are running portfolio accounting systems that were originally built in the 1980s. Anticipate that, that's going to continue for some time. It's really more of a, it's our strategy going forward for how we will deploy new products, if that makes sense. So, Advent products like Moxie and APX and Geneva are probably best known as, on-premise applications that, you hire an operations team to run on your behalf. And really the Advent is not known for besides Black Diamond, cloud native multi-tenant solutions, where you can, easily outsource all of your operations and workflows to us as well. And Genesis is going to be that bridge, to the cloud for, many of the clients that are running some of those other products.
I just want to talk a little bit about like the past year and a half, past couple of years. A lot of things that people say is that when it comes to technology adoption, we've had 10 years in 1 year thanks to the pandemic. Is that your experience too? What have you seen change over the past year and a half, almost 2 years now, I guess, with the pandemic in terms of the way advisors work?
I don't know if I'd say 10 years in the last 1 year, but I mean, certainly a significant acceleration of the adoption of mobile cloud capabilities, et cetera. So, even outside our industry, things like DocuSign is a great example. When's the last time, you saw a contract or a piece of paper that you didn't sign via DocuSign? I think advisors, using that one example, if you went back to February of 2020, I think you'd find that there were lots of advisors that were still, mailing out new account packages. You get a FedEx here, so it would have a bunch of paper documents to sign, and a bunch of those little sticky notes that would say sign here. In effect, that's been totally eliminated in the last year. And I think the things that we deliver, I would say it's parallel. We've seen much more adoption and push to digital correspondence with your clients, things like adoption of client portals and document vaults. But my perspective is, these were trends that were already underway, and it just accelerated, some of the things that were already happening in the ecosystem.
Yeah, it's interesting. one of the things that concerns over the past year and a half has been around cybersecurity, because everything has moved so rapidly to digital and digital communications. I mean, of course, cybersecurity is important. We just saw a couple of big broker dealers get dinged for lapses in cybersecurity. Those seem to be mostly human-based phishing type of errors. But what is your guys' thoughts around cybersecurity? And I'm sure you take it seriously. Are there any initiatives or things that you're doing around cybersecurity in the past year and a half to kind of help protect client data as you're passing it around up in the cloud or around advisors' workstations?
Yeah. So first of all, this is one of those topics where when you speak to an advisor that's looking for solutions, my advice is always really vet the people you're looking at, vet your technology vendors. And, often that means make sure that they have, SOC reports and they have pen tests and, they're doing things that, they're having third parties that are independent check in on the controls that they have in place. And of course, we do all of the same things. I would say the one big area, and this is what sets SS&C apart. We have a private cloud, and so while we certainly have products that leverage things like Azure and AWS, within financial services, we recognize the sensitivity of the data that is stored in our system and is obviously being processed. And so, things like Black Diamond, as an example, is all sitting in a private cloud in a data center that we own and operate. And so, we have decided that that particular aspect of our business, which is actually control over the servers and the electricity that goes into the data center, we want to have control over. And so, that's probably something that's unique about us. I think you'd find many other firms, are freely using, things like AWS and Azure. And of course, we do in some scenarios as well. But for the most part, when it comes to really sensitive client data, it is sitting in our private cloud in our data centers that we own and operate.
That is interesting. I think that is unique. I wasn't realize that, but I think you're right. That's a fairly unique situation for a fintech vendor.
Yeah, and our vantage point on it is, we certainly have the scale across our parent company to do so, because even though SS&C is a big company, we're certainly not a big bank or IBM or a Fortune 500 business. And so, we want to make sure that if there isn't, in fact, an outage at one of your vendors, that we are the first priority to get up and running. And the only way that we can assure that is to have control over that aspect.
Yeah. Well, Steve, this has been great. I appreciate your time here. It's always to see SS&C Advent, Black Diamond, the submissions that come through every year for these Wealthies Awards. The judges recognize the work and the iterations that you're making on your platforms. Advisors appreciate it too. So thanks very much for taking some time to explain it to us.
Well, always good speaking to you, David. And, thanks for having me. And I hope I'll actually see you one of these days soon. I
hope so too. We're doing the awards this year live, kind of a hybrid thing. Believe me, no one would rather it be live than me. I definitely want to be there in the room. So yeah, I hope so. I hope to see you on the road at maybe a conference at some point in the future, and let's hope things get back to normal.
Well, sounds great. Appreciate the time, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
This has been the Wealthies Podcast, and I'm David Armstrong. Thank you for listening.
This content has been made for information and educational purposes only. The views and opinions represent the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views and opinions of wealthmanagement.com.